Testing. All right. Episode 115, the most expensive marketing mistake you'll make and why you'll never see it coming. Some of the most expensive marketing mistakes look like smart, responsible decisions. In this episode, we break down a common pattern seen in marketing strategies for small and medium-sized businesses where well-intentioned marketing hires quietly slow progress, drain momentum, and delay results. And I'm going to turn myself down slightly. See, you bring in new people like Joe Cimino right there, and every one of them makes the same exact mistake. And you know what that is? They run the audio too loud. Exactly. And so we're going to talk about young people making the same mistake or with your hires and so forth in this one. And there are hidden costs to this that are often overlooked with no red flags or dramatic failures, just time and money slipping away unnoticed. If your marketing feels busy but not effective, or if your marketing results always seem just one more week away, this episode will hit close to home. He's Matt Hansen. He comes from academia, but he actually has a little bit of experience in the real world as a digital marketing guru. How you been, man?
I'm good.
You see, I knew he had turned you off. There it is. Now,
there we go.
Yeah, you're good now.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm good. This one stemmed from kind of my week so far. I know we're only on Thursday, but I have had a week where I have talked with many businesses on this topic that we're going to talk about today. So let me bring you back to recently. We were doing some work in our house, and my wife wanted to put some wood floors, and she wanted to paint, and she wanted to do some trim work, and we did the fireplace and all this other stuff. And
should have talked to the guy who just left.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, but we're going into this process, and she starts saying, "All right, well, let's go buy the stone. You can do the fireplace. You can do the mantle. You can do the floors. You can do the painting. All of these things." And I finally just looked at her and I said, "Okay, stop. I am not doing any of that. I know I can do all of that, and I know, if you really want me to do this, I will do it, but I'm not going to do this." And she looked at me kind of funny, like, "But you do this all the time in other spaces." I said, "I do, but I don't want to do this job." And she looked at me and asked me why, and I said, "Because it's going to take me longer to do this, and we're going to spend money on things, and it's just not a good use of our time or a good use of our money. Let's not do this." So we didn't paint, but we ended up putting in wood floors. We ended up putting in stone around
real wood.
So stone around the fireplace, a new mantle we ordered from Home Depot, and all this other stuff. And I hung a TV and all this other, right? So all of this work was done in literally like a week and a half, right? So we turned this whole room over in a week and a half. It was like 8 days. How long would that have taken me? Probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. And she had a timeline. She wanted to get it done. My daughter had some like a winter formal dance coming up, so she wanted pictures and all this other stuff. But why am I telling you this? Because all of this week, I've had this same conversation with business owners where they are hiring people to do things for their marketing, and they're trying to find that catch-all handyman that can do everything. And they're calling me in panic because the handyman has either messed something up or doesn't know how to do something. Right? So they've hired this marketing person that's going to come maybe it's their brother-in-law. Maybe it's somebody they know from a former job. Maybe it's somebody that knocked on the door. But they're hiring them, and they're trying to put them into all of these individual spaces. So let's go back, right? So my living room, we wanted to do wood floors. Well, I could have done it myself, but I hired my next door neighbor is an amazing wood floor person, so we hired him.
What kind of wood you put in?
We had to match the red oak that we had, so we stained it down.
Stained red oak. Okay.
Yeah. The fireplace. guy that lives across the street is a bricklayer. So we had him come over and he took care of it.
So you didn't buy one of those pre-built brick fireplaces?
No, it's rock and everything else, right? Again, why? Because they were in and out, knew exactly any problems that were coming up. They knew how to handle them. They knew how to move quickly. So let's take you to some stories, right? So this week, I've got this company, and I don't want to name any names, but they called me. They're having some issues. Their website is getting flagged by Google and some of the advertising that they're doing, and they just don't really know the ins and outs. Like, I've worked with them on some things in the past. They contact me only. The funny part is that I feel like they only contact me when they're in disarray, something's happened, they're those types of things. But they have a really great marketing agency working with them. But the marketing agency that they have is a creative agency at the core. They are creative, right? And now this creative agency is working on their website, is working in their Google paid search ads and all this other stuff. And the problem is I'm actually being pulled into these conversations to try and help get them out of the problem, right? So they've hired somebody.
So now they've got the creative agency doing their website, and so now they got to go to you to kind of expedite and fix things.
Right. So I'm coming in. So it's the same thing as, hey, I just put wood floors in my house. I have huge gaps. Can you come over here and fix this for me? That's what we've done. That's what we're doing here, right? So I'm not saying that this agency is phenomenal on the creative side and they do tremendous work, but you also got to realize, hire for the job that you're looking to do. So go out there and find somebody that knows the ins and outs of these types of things, right? So we actually have people that used to work at Google that are helping kind of facilitate this problem. But honestly, that's just one story that I have from this.
All right, so let me address that for the small. If you guys remember, this is Mastering Local Marketing, and I have to reiterate that because we actually record this live on the radio, and it plays a ton on my radio stations. So this is Mastering Local Marketing podcast. We've done 115 of these. If you go watch or listen to every one of them, you'll get basically an MBA or even a PhD in local marketing. But there's two things to pull out of that. As I'm actually, like you, I'm just a small to medium-sized business, a local business. The one thing that I have pulled from this podcast, doing this podcast, is that you have to delegate your duties away. And if you some of the stuff that you do, you have to get better. You've been the small to medium-sized founder. Everybody wants to talk to you on sales. You're also running operations, and you're trying to do marketing, and you can't do any of this very well. So you have to do it. But there's a further step that I got out of your discussions, and that is that you have to delegate to the right place.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about today. I've certainly gotten better at the first part. Mm-hmm. And the second part is something that I'm learning. Like, you saw me do that. I go, here's what you're good at, Matt. You're going to, take care of this move, and you're going to rebuild this thing, and that's all you're going to do. And he's like, oh, I want to do this. I go, no, you're good at it. This is what you do. And I've delegated it to him. But it's very hard to figure out what each person's good at, what they should be doing, what would contribute to the organization best, and give that stuff up that you used to do. And I'm sure you deal with that a lot. Sure. You dealt with me when we first came along. I was doing everything, and I'm like, you know what? This guy's right about one thing. I sit at nighttime, I go, what can I push off my plate? This morning, you may not even, I didn't include you on the email, but I got up, I made an AI flyer, I kicked it out. You do this, you do that, you do that. I should have it done by the end of the day. It used to be the thing that I would have waited till the weekend, done half of it, and I'd be done in about 10 days, and then it would be right at the very last minute. But now I'll have it done by the end of today. So when you're talking about the small to medium-sized business owner, talk about that problem, delegating the tasks and delegating them to the right place.
Yeah, we as a small business owner, we want to try and do everything, right? And I own small businesses, and for years I tried to do every single thing, whether it was in the agency side, whether it was some of the other smaller businesses that I'm involved in, if it's in real estate, whatever it is. Like, I was trying to do it all myself, and I realized that I will move so much faster if I start to delegate some of these things. Right. So think in terms of, I hire somebody to do everything, and now it takes a long time for that to get done. What are the other things that I'm missing out on? Am I missing out on sales? Am I missing out? Is it costing me extra dollars? Is it beyond the schedule or beyond the contract that we've signed with this person? I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we need to look at this. So let me take you to another example that I had this week. Right?
I know you're going to go to SEO, aren't you?
I am. I am.
So SEO is the one thing that, as a small to medium-sized business owner, you hate to hear that because you never pay any attention to it, and I have to listen to it right now, and
but
we're
you're going
bad
to love
at
this.
It. All
You're
right,
going to love
ahead.
this, right? So I had another company that reached out to me this week. We're kind of playing phone tag right now, but they had an SEO company reach out to them and basically said, we can get you to where you need to be and all this other stuff. And they had contacted me and said it was this huge expense that they were putting out there. They don't know anything about SEO. They've been told they need to do it, and would love to just have a conversation with me. And I said, sure, let's set up a call and we'll have a conversation. I said, but give me 5 minutes and I will tell you exactly where you need to go. So I went, looked at their website, looked at Google, looked to see if they had a Google profile.
There, I knew that was coming. I knew you were going there.
Didn't have one. And I said, there's there's where you need to go, right? So when we do connect, that's really, I'm not trying to sell them on that. I'm literally trying to say that if you want to show up in your local area, you need to be there, right? So there's all these tips and tricks and all these different things that you should be doing, right? So you should have an ability. And that's what
the SEO firm charges you for.
Exactly. So if you create that account, if you're generating reviews, you're uploading pictures and video, there's even kind of a little trick right out there right now where if you use Google Maps and you set your address and you use Google Maps to go to your address, it's showing Google that people are driving to your address. So there's a lot of people out there selling kind of this, this ability to do that right now.
Yellow pages of Google.
Yeah, essentially, right? So could they go in there and spend thousands of dollars on SEO? Sure. Are they going to see results tomorrow? No. And they're trying to see results right now. So all I'm telling them is it took me 5 minutes to go in there, find out that they don't even have a profile, build that profile, start populating it with reviews, populating it with imagery, video, whatever it may be. You're going to start to work up the ranks and you're going to start to get phone calls. And that is free. All you have to do is go in there and set that up. And you're not going to be charged, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 for an SEO firm to come in and start doing stuff that you're not going to see results right away.
Tell us another story.
There's a bunch of them. So
tell us about the paid ad space. I like this because I hate buying ads, but I'm doing it.
So we've been working with this company, another agency, XYZ, and they've had some real success, right? So they are generating awareness pretty significantly right now. They know who they are. We've got the ads out there. They're running consistently every single month. They're on social. They're in the paid search space. They are all over traditional media. There's tons and tons of information that's out there. They've had a change of thought. They want to go back to the SEO space. So they're changing direction. They're going, we're going to spend all of our money on the SEO side.
Instead of paid social.
Instead of what's been working. And you just kind of sit there and go, okay. I mean, again, it's not necessarily my client I'm working with. Some people, different company. But you just kind of go, okay. I know how that's going to end. I know it's going to end badly. I know you're going to come back at some point, or this new agency or whatever that you're going to go with is going to start spending those dollars again, just as they were being spent before. But again, that shiny object, right, that people are always chasing. They hear something, they hear SEO, and, oh, well, we need to do SEO because it's quote unquote free, right? Yeah, if you're really good at ranking for Google, go for it. But I'm not really good at laying wood floors, so I wasn't going down that direction either.
I'm a little confused.
Yep.
If you guys know the history of this, it came about as I was an MBA student at Purdue Northwest, and
Which I found your grades the other day.
They weren't perfect, but hey, you know what? I just had to get through it.
Sorry, go ahead.
All I wanted was a marketing, and that was. But anyways, in your marketing class, you spend a really long time talking about SEO and how to get good at it, and what the little tricks are and so forth. But here you are now talking about, hey, paid ads are the way to do it, and you don't have to go spend a bunch of money on an SEO firm. What the hell you got against SEO?
Nothing. But are you looking for results today, or are you looking for results in a year from now, right? If I can send 1,000 people to your website today, that's much better than sending 1,000 people over the next 365 days, right? Like, SEO takes time and technology. You have to understand what it is that you need to do. You're running a small business. You don't have time to do that. So you might as well take the quick wins that you can take, right? So like if I threw it out there and I said, all right, spend $100, or better yet, an SEO firm is going to come in and try and charge you minimum $500 a month, right? Okay, so we take that $500 a month, and you don't see any results on that for 3 months. So you've put $1,500 into it before you start seeing any traffic come over. I could take $1,500 and start driving traffic to your website right now. Whether you're e-commerce, whether you're a service-based business, I can get you phone calls right now for that money. In addition, I can also tell you to go out there and build your Google profile, right? Your business profile, which is going to drive SEO. So what we're saying is, yes, there is value in focusing on SEO, but you are not the expert. So don't try to be the expert. And if you want to go down that path, just realize that that is probably not the best use of your dollars, because you're trying to stay in business. You're trying to grow. So you want to get people that are buying right now, not people that are going to be buying in 3 months, 6 months, even 12 months away.
So let's circle back. So by saying hire small, you don't just mean like your own personnel. You also mean your agencies, your consultants, that kind of thing. But really it kind of goes across the spectrum. For the small and medium-sized business, they love to hire small because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. But can you get the results you need by, quote, hiring small?
Yes. You just got to ask a lot of questions, right? So if you talk to the right people, keep that in mind. You talk to the right people about the problems that you're having, and they are providing insights into the solutions. Like, they're giving you nuggets, right? So this SEO, this company that I'm talking to about SEO, I have not taken $1 from them. I will have a phone call with them, and I will make the recommendation to build their Google business profile. I won't take $1 from them. But you call an SEO firm, yeah, we'll be able to put a contract together. It's a minimum 6 months. It's $500 a month. We'll get started as soon as that contract is signed. Which one do you want to work with? Let's be honest. You'd want to work with a person that's giving you nuggets already, right? Because if they're giving you that value just in that conversation, what do you think you're going to get when you start working with them?
Well, I mean, you've got so many little aspects for the small and medium-sized business owner or their marketing department. Mm-hmm. First, we're talking definitely use people that this is what they do, mm-hmm. whether you hire them or whether you agree
contract
with them,
work, right?
Or do contract work. Recognize that you cannot do all of it.
No.
But the second level would be you don't need to overpay either.
No.
for specifically SEO firms, and I'm with you. I get calls all the time. Hey, we can do your SEO. You don't even do it. I go, hey, when I get to it, I'll get to it. But I just don't, not a lot of people go for it, search Google, I want to buy radio ads, it's just not something that happens. But they can be very persuasive.
They can be, because we don't understand what they're selling. They're telling us that, we can, take your business to the nth degree and all this other stuff. But, just keep in mind, don't buy things, it's like saying,
Is this the takeaway?
This is the takeaway, right? So don't buy Florida property in swampland, right? Like it's land, it's real estate, but you can never build on it. There's never anything there, right? So don't believe everything that you hear. Don't think that just because somebody's calling you or emailing you or sending you some kind of mailer that they know what they're doing or that they're getting real results, right? So the number one thing that I always say is, give me an example similar to what I'm dealing with, and two, who can I go talk to that's worked with you? That's huge.
Explain.
Okay. Let's say that I'm a new graduate from a university. I've just gotten a marketing degree, and I'm going to start an agency. I go out there, I start pounding the pavement. I'm talking to all these local businesses. I've got a degree. I can take your business to XYZ. Sign off on this. They have no experience whatsoever. They've probably never been in the platform. And if they have, they don't have enough time in the cockpit to really take the plane to where it needs to go. So literally, if I can see if we can talk about an example that was similar to mine, and two, I can talk to somebody that is either currently using you or has used you, better yet, used you in the past, that is no longer a customer of yours, and you're willing to give me that number, that's interesting to me. That means you're not hiding anything.
He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jim Deedlaw. This is episode 115, the most expensive marketing mistake you'll make and why you'll never see it coming. It sounds like Matt Hansen's very much boycotting SEO agencies, but that's not it.
Yeah.
It's an attitude. It's an attitude. Spend your money wisely, but at the same time, delegate. Are my glasses crooked? Is that what the producer's telling me? My glasses are crooked. See, if you hire wisely and hire small, although he's 6'2" or 3,
yep,
you can get the results that you need. That's what that is showing right there. Let's call it right there.
Sounds
Episode 115 in the books. Until next time, see you later.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
Looking for a place to enjoy great food and great games? Head to Doc's Barbecue in Dyer. Indulge in Southern-style hickory smoked meats served in a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Want to catch the latest local Jet TV basketball games? Just ask and they'll have it on one of their 15 big-screen TVs. Whether you're here for the food, the fun, or the hoops, Doc's has something for everyone. Stop by Doc's Smokehouse on Calumet Avenue in Dyer, where flavor and sports come together.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Open 7 days a week in 4 convenient locations: Highland, Griffith, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, air freshener, and a towel with every wash. It's fast, safe, and gentle. For more information and hours of all our locations, visit myeasyclean.com. Also, see how you can wash your car daily with our $10 Ultimate Wash for only $19.99 per month. Give your car the best clean at Easy Clean Car Wash.
Tell the folks where they can find the French Room.
Fridays, 3 to 5 Central.
And where can they listen?
On WJOB, AM 1230, 104.7 FM.
I believe those are the radio people.
Who the hell's that?
I have no idea. But you could listen worldwide on TuneIn.com or watch on JetTV.com.
Get your Jet TV, the Front Room.
With Marla Kubik.
Variety,
sometimes at its finest.
If you're thinking of finishing your basement, installing outdoor security cameras, or your business has plans to break ground on a new project in 2024, Powering Indiana, Lake County is your source for the region's best electricians. With IBEW, Local 697 electricians, you're choosing the highest level of safety and reliability. Visit poweringindiana.org today and ensure your project is in the hands of skilled professionals.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of...
Hey, everybody, it's episode 116 of Mastering Local Marketing, Overlooked Marketing Signals in Real Estate, Insights for Small Business Growth. We're going to talk a lot of real estate. But before we do that, I want to bring something up.
Oh, you had to talk about it. Okay, go for it.
No, I'm not going to talk about it.
You're not going to
But I'm going to tell you what happened here.
Okay.
We're launching a podcast network, and I host a number of them. And on the same day, in the same hour, I host, I think, 6 podcasts. This is one of them. In the same day, in the same hour, I had been doing a podcast for a year with 2 different dudes. They both called me and said, "You're done." At the exact same time.
They canceled you?
Yeah, they canceled me. Say, "Hey, man, I appreciate this, but I want to go this way, and I want to host it. I want to bring this person on." And that was, Will Galeros. We're doing our last show here in a second, okay? And then the other podcast was...
So it's been
Jim
fun.
Weiss.
This is the intervention. He's kicking me off. No, it's
Yeah, they're kicking me off. Yeah, and I'm like, this is how it's supposed to go. For 20-some years, 22 years, I bring things in, and we do the show for a little while on the radio, or now it's a podcast. And then I know it's going to come to a point where they look at me, and I just wait for it. I never push for it. I never tell them. I never ask if they want me to leave. But they have to figure it out. It's just time for me to go. And I've built up their skills, and they're ready to go. I mean, Veterans Views has been here for 21 years. And I used to host it for like 3 years. And one day they felt like they called a breakfast, and they brought me over, and they felt like they were going to hurt my feelings. Hey, we want to do it ourselves. And I'm like, yes, thank you. So I just wonder when
is this
you're
a call
gonna,
for help?
When you're going to do that to me.
Is this a call for help? Do you want off? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just had to share that with you because I know that you're doing podcasts now. I don't want to talk about your class and all you're doing, okay? But when you go in to start doing it, for a long time it was 25-minute radio shows. I didn't realize it, but those are basically just podcasts. Yeah. So now we've transferred that skill set into doing podcasts, and I'm really excited about it. But you're teaching a class right now where you're going to take them from A to Z on doing a podcast. I just wonder, what's your end game with that? What do you want them to pick out of that? From a marketing, this is a marketing podcast. What are you trying to get out of that?
Why am I teaching them how to do that? Because I feel that those students need to be shown how to go from A to Z and not to just learn something in a book, right? So, again, before we jumped on, I'll say it. We launched 10 podcasts this week in my class. They're all over the place. It will be interesting to see where they go. But the idea was literally launch some kind of content, the podcast, launch a social media account that will promote said podcast. We're going to pay for them to do an advertising campaign on social for the podcast. And then they're going to analyze the SEO. I know we just talked about SEO in the last episode, but the SEO and the keyword analysis of the the podcast to rank higher on Apple and Spotify, and Apple or Amazon and YouTube and all the other ones, right? So that's the end game. Is literally I want them to be able to walk out of here tomorrow and say, I can create a product, I can market a product, and here are my results, and here's how I analyzed it all along the way. So that's why we're doing it.
So what? And the person who runs our podcast network is taking that class, and I was just wondering where that was going. But what I get out of this, and the reason I bring it up for the owner of the small to medium-sized business or the marketer or even if you work there and you want to get into your marketing side, is that more than anything else, Matt always says overlapping systems. What I see out of your class is a full project. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to launch a product. You don't know how to launch a podcast. Certainly Adriana does. You don't know how to use AI to develop your graphics and to develop your theme. You don't even know what the topic should be. You don't even know what to talk about. Yeah. Now you got to make all this content in the first half of the class, and then you got to get really good at marketing your content and buying those ads. You're creating an overlapping system.
I am. So it's taken everything that they've learned or, that they've learned in book and lecture and all this other stuff, but now we're making them implement it. And it was funny. I had 4 students that are in a group, and they launched this new podcast. They've entitled it Spill the Beans. It's basically a conversation of 20-somethings about things that are going on in their life and, how the world is affecting, their growth. I took them in another room. I go, who's comfortable on the mic? And they're like, oh, we'll get there. I said, all right, fine, let's do it. And I just threw them into Riverside. I said, start talking. And it was funny that the 2 of them kind of jumped in and went, okay. And I could hear them through the door, and they just kept going and going and going. And I thought, all right, they're fine, right? So I think you got to get thrown into things, thrown into the deep end, right, before you can actually do anything. So just go for it.
So to circle that around, the reason I get kicked out of my podcast, which is the end game, not this one. I'll be honest. If you kick me out, I don't care. But
no, I think you on this podcast brings the voice of the small business owner. Right?
Yes.
Like I own small businesses, but I think we need a unique perspective. You're trying to grow something. You've had multiple different business entities and things that you're working on, but you can bring that in. You're talking on a regular basis to those that are out there in the community. So I think you bring that. It's not that we just threw you on a show about, coffee or something like that, right?
Do you know, I have a feeling that this is similar and it's shared by other small business owners, is that I've learned so much from this podcast, and I'm like, God, I need to be SEO, and I need to be have a better email marketing campaign. My website sucks. I don't have e-commerce. I mean, all of these different things. But the one thing I learned is that you say pick one. Mm-hmm. And we have picked one. We go for the regional business advertiser, and that's kept us, as we've grown, that has kept us in business as kind of a VC-based company. And I want to make that clear to the small business owner that just pick one thing. You're listening to this part, and maybe it doesn't necessarily affect you, but at least you've heard it. But you can't let it be a pressure on you. Like, oh, my God, I don't want to listen to that podcast anymore because I'm not doing all this stuff, and it makes me feel guilty.
I'm not doing all of the stuff that we talk about either, but I've picked 1 or 2 things that I have time to do, right? Or I buy time from other people. So
let's go to real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
In this one, we're going to talk about how signals in real estate can transform your marketing strategies. We dive into how trends like new builds, rising rents, commercial vacancies uncover shifts in customer acquisition and spending behavior before they show up in your sales numbers. If your marketing feels reactive or disconnected from local realities, learn to leverage real estate data as a powerful tool for your proactive local advertising Strategies. What does this mean? Love, death, and robots in the Ice Age.
There's this show. It's called Love, Death, and Robots, and there's an episode called Ice Age. Are you familiar with this?
I know the show. I don't know the episode.
So the episode is they have this old freezer, and they open up the freezer, and there's this civilization living in the freezer, right? And they watch it go from like the Ice Age, in caveman to to having a nuclear war and then rebuilding and all of like flying cars and all this stuff. And it's happening quick, right? Like they're watching it develop, right? And I saw a clip about it the other day, and I thought, well, do we ever, from a marketing perspective, really stand back and watch and look at what's going on around us? Now, I love real estate. I love talking real estate. I love kind of identifying areas of opportunity and all that kind of stuff. But it got me thinking about this one. And I said, okay, well, you're going into business. You're opening up a business and you're looking around. Where do we want to be? Do we want to be online? Do we want to be in our local town? Is our local town the best fit for us? Is there a changing dynamic? And we are in where we live is Northwest Indiana, which, my daughter asked me the other day, she's like, why do they call us the region? And I said, well, they call us the region because Indiana doesn't necessarily claim us, right? Like we're Chicago to them, and Chicago doesn't claim us because we're Indiana. So we're kind of just this thing that they call the region. And the region is, I want to say it's basically the civilization in the freezer. And let me take you down this path. It's changing so fast, and things are happening that if you're running a business in this area, you need to take and look at it. So we have the north side of Lake County, we have the south side of Lake County. Two entirely different, divided by one interstate, US 30, right? Completely, one is more urban, one is more rural. Like you can get bigger yards, you can get all these types of things. Like up here, I can travel or I can walk to a restaurant. Where I live, I can't walk to a restaurant.
From right where we're sitting, you could walk to a restaurant where we ate the other day. You could walk to the largest YMCA in the world, the little big grocery store right down the street. Yes, the density is higher.
So we start to look at what are the developments that are happening. So I've watched this from a rural standpoint because I live in a town. We've got about 20,000 homes in our town, but we have literally one stretch, that has a Target, and we have an Aldi, a Strax, which is a grocery store, and then they're building a Jewel, another grocery store. So we're gonna have 3 grocery stores where literally I could take a baseball and throw it and hit all of them. And we have a Target, which technically is number 4 grocery store. And then there's, we have maybe 3 restaurants that we can eat at. When I say restaurants, I'm talking about we have 2 you can sit down in.
One's a bar.
Yeah, I mean, like there's nothing there. But what we're starting to see is these little pockets, and it happened. And it, for those of you that aren't familiar with our area, it happened in Crown Point because Crown Point used to be the town square, the hub, and then it moved to where the interstate was, right? So out near Broadway, and it blew up over there. And there is, you could probably eat at 100 different restaurants where that is right now. And I'm seeing the same thing happen where I live right now. So there's these little pockets of retail that are starting to sprout, and the shopping is moving to new locations, and the new infrastructure and the new residential is starting to populate in different areas. And as I was driving to the studio today, I was going through this one area on 41, and I've noticed for years people try to put different businesses, different restaurants, all of that in this one little area, and it's the area just south of 30 on 41. And you see this turnover.
Texas Roadhouse, and there's an IHOP there.
Even farther south than that, right? So it's right before you get to Lake Central. And it turns over and over and over again. And you're constantly seeing the change of restaurants and companies.
The big one, North something.
the 41, whatever.
Yeah, it was big. It's a huge restaurant. Yeah.
But
Northwoods.
But do you notice in that one little section how things turn so often? But then you have other areas where companies, we've had these businesses sitting there for years and years and years, but there are dead zones in your area that you have to be aware of. So
where are you going with this?
What I'm trying to say is if you're going to open a business, it's not where I can get the cheapest rent. It's not, there's an opportunity I'm going to put it there. Like when we opened Simply Elegant back in the day, we put it in a business complex. Worst decision of our lives. Rent was cheap, had no windows whatsoever for people to see what it would look like, right? Like we had to pull people into this. And then we realized, that was stupid. Why did we do that, right? We were in more of an industrial area. There were no other retail shops next to us. Like, quickly realized this is a bad location. We need to get out of here, right? And I don't think people put enough thought into where they're going to put their business. They just look at it like, okay, well, let's see what has office space. What can I afford? They don't start to think about all the things that are happening. So you've got all these new developments that are happening around you. You've got traditional developments that have been there that maybe people have moved in and out, right? It's kind of like you see a coffee shop and they're going out of business and somebody goes, I'm going to go buy that coffee shop. Well, that's the third coffee shop that's been in there. Why are you buying that? Because quite honestly, unless you're a genius at marketing, you're going to have the same fate, right? So when we look at real estate, you have to look at the development. You have to look at where things are going. But I personally think nobody looks into this, and the smart ones do, because we've got there are certain staples that you can look at, right? The Walmarts and the Starbucks. I always say if you can find a Walmart or a Starbucks and get as close to that as possible, you're in good shape. And you say, why is that? Well, you don't think they go build a 100,000 square foot Walmart just on a whim, right? They do all kinds of research, understand who's going to be shopping, how's the traffic getting to them. It's the same thing with Starbucks. They don't just put those up to put them up. They look at traffic patterns, they look at migration patterns, they look at population density, all of these different things. So if you focus on what's happening around you, you'll find the right location, even finding a place that's going to start populating more. So we're in Northwest Indiana, and we have a huge push from Illinois. They're moving over, right? Huge taxes in Illinois. They're jumping over the border. Chicago, they're moving out of Chicago. They're coming over to us, and they're just commuting to Chicago if they're going to work there. What has happened to us? Huge density problem, right? Our infrastructure is getting very, very congested, but you're seeing a lot of new buildup. Even out in the rural areas on the roads that typically were just cornfields 10 years ago, are major retail developments being built up, right? So if you identify those patterns, it's not just like, a lot of people will say, I look at billboards and I can get the numbers. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Look at the traffic patterns to understand how many people drive by an area and how easy it is to get to you if you are a destination in your business. Does that make sense?
So you are talking to a lot of retail people, a lot of people that have 2 or 3 locations. That would be small to medium-sized business. And you're telling them or us to look at the patterns around you for opportunities. Right. Simple. Mm-hmm. There are people listening that are my HVAC guy. I guess got a plumber dude that was just texting me. They need to look at these patterns for a different reason, because they almost don't want to be in these neighborhoods, right? Because eventually they're going to be priced out with their rent and their taxes. Right. So they almost got to run from it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the type of residential units that are being built, the type of commercial that's being built in those areas. Is it an R1? Is it, R4? And what we mean by that is residential 1. You can only build one house on a lot, or is it R4 where you can build a fourplex, right? So if you have tons of apartment complexes going up, those are transient people that typically move more often than not. People that aren't buying homes, right? So maybe they have credit issues that they can't buy a home. Maybe they don't have the money to buy a home. Maybe they just don't want to buy a home. But on the flip side, do you have $1 million homes in your area? I mean, those are completely different customer bases, right? So if you're selling furniture and your cheapest piece of furniture is $10,000, you're probably not opening up next door to an apartment complex.
So,
right?
When you look at these patterns, Mr. Data, what one piece of data stands out to you?
Population growth.
Explain.
So here in Northwest Indiana, we have a variety of different counties, but it equates to roughly the size of San Francisco, right? So that's what we are.
Hey, Joe, can you open the front door there for somebody? Yeah, sorry about that. He's out there freezing his butt off. I would normally wait, but we'll just pull this out of the podcast.
All right,
but
so with that, we're going to kick Jim off the podcast because he's no, just kidding.
The guy's texting me. He's like, hey, dude, we're recording this. It is 2 degrees outside. If you're somewhere else or in a different season.
Yeah.
But I know that my buddy's waiting out there to do the next podcast, and he's just jumping up and down like, you idiot, answer to you. Like,
keys on the side of the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So the population growth data. Go on, keep going.
Yeah, so if people are moving into your area, that means more dollars are flowing into your area, right? More people are going to pass by wherever you're putting your location. If you are seeing shrinking population, if you're in a town that's shrinking, right? So, for example, when I look at real estate, many of the times I'll look at, is the city growing? If it's shrinking, if I can go buy a home for $30,000, odds are that's probably not a really good place to be buying, right? Because supply and demand, right? So if I can buy a house for $30,000 or that same house is costing $500,000 in California, we've got to look at what's going on here, right? So you chase the population, you chase the dollars, because you don't want to be sitting there waiting for somebody to drive by your location. And when they do drive by, you don't want them to drive by with no money in their pocket, right? So you're always looking for population and discretionary income that they can spend with you.
From a digital market or from a local marketing perspective, why are we talking about this?
Because I've seen way too many companies just go into a location without even giving it a second thought.
Including you.
Including me. We've done it.
Including me.
Yep. Everybody has done it.
Yes.
And we're all kicking ourselves
Did I ever
for
tell
it.
you about the coffee shop?
No.
I had the best theme. It was called Steel Toe Joe.
Okay.
Here we are.
Based on your boots.
Yeah, we're in one of the most industrial areas of America, largest steel mills, largest inland refinery. I mean, it's all industry. And then I had a theme, and I paid a bunch of money for the logo and everything. God, I remember now. This was 20-some years ago, 25 years ago. I paid $4,000 for the logo. Mm-hmm. Now you would put it into AI, and there it would be. It didn't cost you anything. But I had it, and then I put it in downtown Hammond. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever drove by there to go there, and there was no parking in front. You had to go around and park way in the back. It was a horrible location. Yep. God, now that I think about this, I wish I had listened to this podcast, this episode 116 of the Mastering Local Marketing podcast then. Exactly. We had great drinks, great coffees, great lattes. Mm-hmm. We had real good sandwiches that you could just grab and they were fresh, and it totally flopped.
Yeah.
Nobody ever drove up. In the building, maybe some people came down, but it sucked. I remember my daily take was $129.
Not even worth opening
It was not. Yeah. It didn't even cover the rent.
Yeah. Well, and we had kind of a similar thing. We were in the square in Crown Point. And great location, tons of traffic drives by, but try to get parking. you have to walk, right? So you circle around the square a few times. Okay, never mind. I'm not stopping there, right? And we heard that over and over and over again. When are you guys going to move somewhere with parking? Great location, tons of traffic, impossible to get to, right? I remember like they would, they chalk your tires out there, so like we couldn't park in the square even because the police would, it's a 2-hour parking. So I get it. If you're having problems just looking at the property, trying to get, where you want to be, your customers are going to have the exact same problem.
Episode 116, Overlooked Marketing Signals in Real Estate Insights for Small Business Growth. This is a little bit off the track of what we would normally do, but very important to a small, I guess, a niche part of you that are always looking to expand, maybe put in another one of your pizza places or another cleaners or another perhaps retail location, another restaurant, that kind of thing. Takeaway?
Here's a trick. Go into realtor.com and search for data on days on market for houses and see how long the houses have been sitting. If it's, if you can pull that data and it's been 20 days and you've got another town that's at 60 days, you know exactly where people are moving.
He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jim Dietlow. Until next time, see you later.
Teen parents face overwhelming challenges, but with the right support, they can build bright futures for themselves and their children.